How to make a paracord bracelet like this with the black clip that clips on. You squeeze it from the side and it clips on. So here's the clip. This is a 1/2 inch clip. Now here's the paracord. We're going to use two colors, and I'm going to do a weld on them, so where I'm going to weld the two colors together. And whenever you clip the paracord, the best way to do it is to bend it over like that and clip it. And that way, I'll show you on this one, if I don't do that, it's really kind of tough to do. So you just want to take and bend it over, make sure you have a nice clean, and if you pull on a little bit, it gets the inner threads to kind of hide up. The things that you'll need is a lighter, and since you're using a lighter, make sure you have your parents' supervision. And you'll need a ruler and some scissors, a good pair of scissors. Now when you weld the two together, just basically hold them like this. You want to heat them up until they get bubbling just a little bit, and then you just press them together. Up. And you give it a few seconds for it to. You can also put it on a metal surface like this and press it down like that, and then you just come along and trim off the sides, and that gives you a nice flat weld. And if, as you're clipping, if you happen to expose some threads again, then just melt it again. Okay, so it looks like I did expose a little bit of threads there. The weld is nice and strong. You can see I'm pulling on that really hard. It doesn't pull apart. Okay, so the clip has two sides to it. And you want to make sure that the clip is bowed a little bit, so you want to make sure that it fits around your wrist. Mine, it doesn't fit very well right here. Mine end up sitting about right there because there's a tighter bend right here than there is right here. However, what we're going to do is I'm going to determine what side I want on the outside, and I'm going to come in just a little bit, and I'm going to put it on. You see that the clip has two sides. This side has one little bar here. This one actually has two bars. And what this does is this one goes in this side. You might need some scissors to poke it through, or some good fingernails. You pull it through. I'm going to make sure that weld is down just a little bit, and then you push it through the top again. Grab the scissors. And then what you do is you take the thread, you run it through like this. And that gives you a nice little hidden knot on the bottom. It hides it underneath that little cover there. Now, the trick is to find a good width around your wrist. So you kind of have to guesstimate here. The other way we had it, I had a little technique, but this one's kind of different. So what we'll do is I'm going to cut this end here, make these line up. You need about 6 to 8 feet altogether. If you have just one color, you want 6 to 8 feet of it. If you have two colors, you'll need half of that, half for each color. So I'm just kind of pulling on it to get that inner thread in there to go in just a little bit. I think I might even weld each of these just to get them to stop fraying. Now before, what I used to do is I would have an inner core piece, and I would do it like this, and that would be the inner piece. And that I found, if you went around your wrist 2 times and then added 2.5 inches, that usually came out to a good width for going around your wrist. You'll want to make sure it's looser than the way you want it, because the cord actually does take up some width there. So you want to make sure that it takes it up all the way around. And so you want to add a fair amount of looseness to it. So this one, come up from underneath with both threads. I'm going to make it looser than what I wanted. Okay, now I want to make sure that they're even. And I should have done that before I try that again. Probably about, and some people say if you take 2 fingers and stick it under there, that's a good thickness. So that's probably about right there. So now I need to do my first knot. You can do different types of knots. However, if you just do the regular knot, that should work too. Actually, this side, I should have gone through the other way. You want to come over the top on this. And here's why, because the knot's going to start from underneath. And so, anyway, so let's resize it really quickly. Okay, now that I have it, whatever color I want in the middle, I'm going to start with. So if I want the gray to be in the middle, then I'm going to start with the gray. If I want the blue to be in the middle, then I'm going to start with the blue. And I want the blue to be in the middle on this one. So what's going to happen is I'm going to take the blue and I'm going to cross over the middle part, the 2 middle pieces. I'm going to cross over those. The gray one's going to go over top of the blue. It's going to come back under, and it's going to come right through the hole right here. You just keep repeating that pattern over and over again. So since I want the blue to be in the middle, I cross that one over the 2, and I take the gray, cross over it, and go behind the 2 and through the blue. Now the first knot is going to come out a little bit weird, so you kind of just have to fiddle with it at first just to get it, and you want to keep it nice and tight. And what's going to end up happening is this weld is going to get covered up by a rope. So that's the hope in it. So once again, just blue goes over the first 2, then behind the other color, and the other color goes behind the middle 2, and through the blue. You just keep doing this over and over again. No matter which side the blue ends up on, it just always... Now you can clip this. I've seen people clip these to something so that it holds it for them. I don't think it's that big of a deal. So you just keep going like this, back and forth, and we're going to stop the video right now until I get farther down, then I'll show you what to do then. Close-up of the knot itself. So you cross with the middle color, whatever the middle color is, you cross over the middle 2 with it, and then you bring this one over top of it and underneath, pull it right up through this first loop that you made, and then you just pull it really tight. Now, if you look on the back, it's going to be just the opposite. So here's the middle 2, the back, or the middle blue, and here's in the back it's gray on the inside. So once again, you cross, leaving a loop here. This one comes up over and grabs that middle color and goes behind the 2 and comes up through here. And that's how that's done. So just another time to see it. And you just keep doing that. You pull it tight every single time. You want to make sure it's really tight. Tight this way and also tight up this way. So you just keep crossing with the middle, or the color that you want on the middle, which in this case it's blue. So every time I just cross with the blue one first, no matter what side it's on. Then I kind of grab it with the other color, go behind, come up through the blue again, and just like that. Now that I'm getting towards the end, you'll see that I just keep going, doing the same knot. And you know, when you're starting to get to the very end, you think, okay, I'm pretty much done. I usually like to try to force in just a couple more knots, just to make sure that it's nice and tight there. And see how it's pretty much there? I still try to go maybe one more, just to make sure it is completely there. Now, one thing you'll want to do is, if it is loose, if once you get it finished and it's loose, then you go ahead and soak it in some water and let it dry. And from what I understand, the water shrinks it up a little bit. See, now I pull it really tight, and see how this thing just covers it right up, and that works really good because I've added on that extra knot to make sure it's underneath there. So now I want to make sure it's really tight, and then I'm going to come along and I'm going to clip it as close as I can there, and as close as I can here, and then take my lighter and I just melt this up a little bit. You want to kind of tap it so that it kind of welds to the other material. I have pulled one of these apart, and you just kind of have to cut that weld off. It will not just pop off. I thought, well, maybe if I just applied some pressure it would just pop off. It wouldn't. I actually had to cut it off to get it going. I just cut one of the strands here. Okay, so now, moment of truth. Put it on. And you can see this one is just a little bit looser than what I usually like. But then again, like I said, I can just put it in some water and that will shrink it up a little bit. And so that is how you make the Cobra knot paracord bracelet.